Hey Yoga fam, welcome to today's yoga class with Paravita Yoga. Today in our prenatal yoga series, we are going to be focusing on yoga to relax the pelvic floor for childbirth. So, pelvic floor, we hear about it a lot. What's the big deal? Many women after childbirth suffer with weakened pelvic floor muscles as well as prolapse of the pelvic floor. This can create some serious issues for women, such as painful intercourse, peeing, not being able to hold your bladder, peeing when you sneeze, peeing when you laugh, peeing when you cough, when you exercise. And this is something that a lot of people suffer with, and they often don't tell anybody because it can be a little bit embarrassing, but no worries. I am here to show you some easy poses and relaxation techniques that will hopefully help you if you are experiencing this, or even better, it can help you prevent it if you are planning on having a baby, if you're already pregnant, or if you are postpartum, maybe starting to experience some slight symptoms of weakened pelvic floor muscles, or even if you're not sure, these poses in this practice is going to be really, really great for you. So when we think about the pelvic floor, the biggest thing we usually think of as far as exercises go are Kegels. When you're pregnant, everybody tells you to do Kegels. And if you don't know what a Kegel is, it is contracting and then relaxing the pelvic floor muscles. So squeezing those muscles down here in the pelvic floor, right above the vaginal canal. And while Kegels are great, that is only one piece of the puzzle. We focus a lot sometimes on exercising muscles and contracting things. So the main focus of the Kegels are to contract and tighten those pelvic floor muscles. And especially after childbirth, if you are experiencing issues with not being able to hold your bladder, or frequent urination, not being able to hold as much fluid in your bladder, or if you are starting to experience some prolapse, women will start to really tighten those muscles. So you're constantly tightening the pelvic floor muscles, but you're never loosening or relaxing them. So a really great visual representation I heard recently, so if you think of your hands, right? This is a nice visual because we work with our hands a lot. So if I were to tell you to grab something, if you have your hand and it's laid out flat, it's constantly stretched out, you can't contract the hand muscles, they're loose, you can't grab anything. So if I were to tell you to grab something, you wouldn't be able to because you can't close your hand. So on the other side, if your muscles are constantly contracted, so your hand is in a fist, you can't open up your hand. You also can't grab something. So we want a nice balance between the flexibility, the relaxation, and the lengthening, as well as the strengthening and the contractions. So we need a nice balance, just like with every muscle in our body, the pelvic floor is the same way. We need a nice balance between the two. So this is also the lengthening and relaxation of the pelvic floor muscles is also really important in childbirth. So when you think of pushing, you are contracting the muscles, but you also want to be relaxing the pelvic floor, opening it up. So while you're pushing, and it's kind of complicated, right? Because when you think of pushing, you think of, engaging your muscles and pushing something out, right? But you also want these muscles to be lengthened and relaxed. That's going to make your childbirth easier, quicker, hopefully. And it's also a great technique to use afterwards, like I mentioned, with the constant contracting that we often do to, try to prevent, the tension and the frequent urination. So you're contracting, trying to not, you're trying to solve it by contracting, but it oftentimes makes it worse. So we need to find this balance. So let's get started. So we're going to come into a nice comfortable seated position on the mat. You can be cross-legged on the knees, legs open, whatever is most comfortable for you. Take a few deep breaths. First, we're going to focus on relaxing the mind, clearing the thoughts, coming into this space of harmony with our body. When we clear our mind from any thoughts, it's easier for us to bring in our intuition, and it's easier for us to listen to our bodies. Now I want you to focus on relaxing the physical body, feeling an overall release, not holding any tension anywhere. Now bringing your attention to the pelvic floor. What do you feel? Do you feel any pressure or tension in this area? Do you feel any tightness? Do you feel any pain? It's very important for you to listen to your body, for you to become aware and in tune. This will help you create a baseline for yourself on the mat as well as off of the mat in your daily life. Now focusing on relaxing the pelvic floor. This may be difficult depending on what your baseline is, how you have been holding your pelvic floor in the past naturally. So it might take some time and practice, but just do your best to relax these muscles. As you breathe, feel yourself exhaling into the pelvic floor, making an emphasis on breathing into the side body and using your diaphragm with your breath. Now that you have worked a little on relaxing the pelvic floor, I want you to do a few Kegels. So contracting and tightening the pelvic floor, and then releasing completely, loosening these muscles. Doing a few of these, that's going to give you a nice contrast of what it should feel to completely have these muscles relaxed. Now coming back to the full release of the pelvic floor, breathing through your body into the pelvic floor as you exhale, allowing your breath to be light and natural as we loosen these muscles, feeling them start to lengthen, and maybe even feeling some of that pressure and tension releasing in this area, traveling into the hips, complete relaxation, feeling the pelvic floor and the hips beginning to open up gently, naturally, and effortlessly. Bringing the hands to the knees or the fronts of the shin bones, gently rocking back and forth. We want this rocking motion to be very gentle and light, just small movements. Small, gentle movements will help us effortlessly keep that pelvic floor relaxed. We don't want any tightness or contraction of those muscles. The more we work
with relaxing the pelvic floor, the easier it will become for these muscles to loosen and lengthen, the more flexibility we can bring into this space. Just like all of our muscles, we want the pelvic floor to be strong and powerful, but we also need it to be able to lengthen and stretch. Coming back to stillness in the center, taking a few deep breaths in and out. We're going to be traveling into a wide-legged child's pose, holding your legs open in a triangle shape as wide as feels comfortable, tailoring this position to your body, wiggling back and forth on the hips, helping the hip muscles to loosen up, keeping the emphasis on relaxing the pelvic floor. Bringing the hips back to stillness in the center, taking a few deep breaths in through the nose and out with an open mouth. Placing the palms of your hands on the floor directly in front of you, applying some pressure to those hands, feeling the hips opening, staying mindful of the pelvic floor, loose, relaxed, and continuously releasing, creating a space that lacks tension, stress, or pain. Slowly walking the hands further out in front of you. You can stay on the forearms or you can stretch your arms all the way out in front into a full child's pose. Taking some nice deep breaths here, allowing your entire body to fully release into the position. Slowly lifting up from the child's pose, taking your hands onto the floor directly in front of you, taking a few moments here to breathe and relax. Whenever you feel ready, slowly lifting up onto your hands and knees, with the hips directly above the knees and the shoulders directly above the hands. If you're someone who always has the pelvic floor muscles tightened without realizing it, this is a great exercise to practice keeping those muscles softened while still moving the hips and the rest of the body. Taking a deep breath in, looking inwards, rounding the back up, and as you exhale, pressing the belly down, arching the back and lifting the chin. Inhaling, rounding the back up, looking in. Exhaling, pressing the belly down, arching the back. Continuing these movements at the pace of your own breath, inhaling to round up and exhaling to press down. As you travel through these movements, remembering to keep the emphasis on relaxing the pelvic floor muscles. On your next exhale, bringing your back into a neutral position in the center, and slowly lowering the hips backwards, coming back into a seated position on the knees. Bringing our legs out in front of us, bending the knees and scooting the hips forward towards the end of the mat, keeping your hips open nice and wide, still in a comfortable space. Grabbing at the shin bones or the ankles. Focus on your breathing, keeping the hip space relaxed. Closing the hips together a little bit, still keeping space between the knees. Scooting forward a little bit on the mat. Taking a big, deep breath in, and as you exhale, slowly rolling the back all the way down to the mat. Allowing yourself to fully relax here. Feeling the gentle rise and fall of your chest with every breath you take. Feeling your shoulder blades melting into the mat. Feeling the gentle pressure of the backs of your hips pressing into the ground. If you're currently pregnant and you're further along in your pregnancy, it might not be comfortable to lie on your back for too long. So if that's the case, you can continue these relaxation techniques in a comfortable seated position. Opening up the legs into a butterfly shape with the bottoms of the feet pressing together. Feeling the hips opening up. Feeling the pelvic floor relaxing. Sending your breath downwards into the hip space. together, pressing the bottoms of the feet into the mat. Or if you're sitting upright, you can come into any comfortable seated position. Feeling a warm sensation washing over your body. With every breath in, welcoming healing energy into your mind, your body, and your spirit. Feeling these gentle waves of warmth washing over your body, allowing yourself to be open to this healing universal power, allowing yourself to welcome your own personal healing strength into your life, welcoming the sense of calmness and serenity that it brings. You are at peace. You are whole. You are healed. If you're still lying in a supine position on the ground, you can slowly roll onto your side whenever you feel ready to do so. At your own pace, with slow, gentle movements, slowly rising up into a seated position. Taking this moment to send out gratitude. Today's closing affirmation is, I thank my body and the divine powers for the creation of life. You can join me in repeating this affirmation 3 times, either in your mind or out loud. I thank my body and the divine powers for the creation of life. I thank my body and the divine powers for the creation of life. I thank my body and the divine powers for the creation of life. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today in this class. I hope this class helped you and that you're able to utilize some of these relaxation techniques and exercises in your life to help you heal your pelvic floor. It's something that many people struggle with, that we are kind of just normalizing in our society. People think that it's normal, and it really doesn't get talked enough about. So I've become really passionate recently about helping people heal their pelvic floor and learning all about it. So yes, I hope this helped, and I will see you in the next video.